Welcome to another edition of Action 14. I'm Mike Briggs, and we bring you information from the schools, from the arts, and from the city. We start out with Dina Budrecki, Assistant Superintendent of Plymouth School District. We had a school board meeting last night. Things that, I guess, first of all, good news. Good news that everything is running very well this year. We're got 3-4 weeks in now, and it feels pretty good.
It does. It's wonderful to see all of our students here, everybody on the same schedules and in and out of the buildings. I get to each one of the buildings at least once a week, and it's great to see all the smiling faces and the excitement to be back in the buildings.
I feel very good about where we are right now.
Definitely, definitely.
Now, I know at the meeting of the whole, you talked about academic excellence pillar, and we should explain that there are several pillars that we attack we're always attacking.
Yes.
Changing, looking at, and the academic excellence pillar was something you spoke about.
Right, so we have 4 pillars. We have the academic pillar, we have the financial pillar, community engagement pillar, and our extracurricular pillar. Mm-hmm. So our goal is that those pillars are what drive all of us. They drive what we do and how we do it. So we have future states with those goals, and those future states are like the ultimate. You know, it is what we strive to reach for. So with our academics, we have a student focus, and that focus is that we want the outcome of our students to be highly functioning citizens of our community in many ways, in the digital aspect, in the work aspect. And in that, we have quite a few different strategies that we're currently working on. And with those strategies, it's always about improvement and how we can be better at what we do. So we look at data to drive some of our instruction, but we also look at what the needs of our community are and sort of trends, maybe I would say. Sustainability, we know how important it is. We've learned in the last few years that, right now, when you have conversations, when people are trying to get supplies and resources, there's major shortages in lots of areas. So how do we be more sustainable is one of them. So we have a garden. Our gardens and wellness are a definite focus with how do we integrate that sustainability piece with our students. And we have new positions at each of our buildings for wellness and for gardens that our students and staff are participating in to drive that strategy and hit our success. We're also really looking at interventions. So when we have students who are struggling, and we know in the last year and a half with COVID, 2 years, that students missed out on certain learning, because maybe they were quarantined when we moved in March of 20 to all virtual school. That was quite the transition. So we want to make sure that anybody who has a gap, that we're really striving to fix that and help them get to back where they should be at grade level if they're behind. So that's definitely a focus for us. When we look at our reading, we look at our state testing, we look at our internal testing that we do. We use iReady, we use lots of other resources, Teacher, we use, it's called Fontes and Pinnell. So we look at that data and we look at where are our students' gaps, which then the teachers use that to drive their own professional development. So maybe we're looking at informational text, and kids are really struggling in that area. How do we improve that? We improve it by improving ourselves and our skill set and how we teach that. So we look at that, we meet as groups, we pull apart our data, and then we move forward. So the last year, we really focused in on phonics and phonemic awareness and word study. So that's building into that higher level, into the higher level of elementary and middle school, and how do we tear apart words, how do we understand those words to help us better become readers. So that's definitely a feature. Math, we're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So we look at our data from the resources that we teach with, and we look at where do we need to improve ourselves. So on our PD days, we use that to drive our own professional development. Oh gosh, lots of other things. Social studies, we have a new curriculum at our middle school. and they have been working really hard to integrate it. What I love about that is that that resource really focuses on our reading. And the more we can connect our different subject areas, the better off we're going to be. So students are really focusing in on learning those social studies standards, but also improving their informational reading in the process. Definitely, when we look at academic excellence, our facilities are an important piece of it. So we strive really hard to make sure that those facilities are kept in check and that we're providing the resources that we need to create that engaging, powerful learning environment.
Yeah, I think it's a compliment to yourself, to our staff, that we made it through this last year and a half, and the numbers are still very good for the Plymouth School District when you look at the big picture.
Absolutely. When we look at our testing scores, we are doing really well. Our teachers work really hard to make sure that our students are getting what they need and meeting them where they're at and pushing them, forward. Obviously, every year we look for a year's worth of growth for each student, and sometimes we have to do more, and they are driven to do that, which is exciting to see, and how they support each other in the process.
Yeah, and so we actually feel pretty good about where we are right now after this crazy couple years. I still feel pretty good about where we are.
Definitely,
Yeah.
we definitely do. From our internal data as well as our state data, we see that success.
Now, last night, the August school board meeting, the board approved the adoption of state standards. What does that actually accomplish?
Sure. So when it comes to what drives our instruction, we have to adopt standards. We have to pick what is going to drive that teaching, and we typically always go with the state standards. So if you Googled DPI, Department of Instruction, Wisconsin and state standards, you will see the standards for each and every one of the different subject areas, from your arts to your math to your reading, you name it, that is all there. So why reinvent the wheel? A lot of work and time is put into it. They're updated on a fairly rotational yearly, process, and that is the process we go with.
Okay. Now, the 2021 budget, schools are an odd entity because our budget year is July 1 to June 30th.
Yes.
But taxes are happening very shortly now, and we actually are now presenting and approved the budget to be printed for the 21-22 school year. This school year is
Correct.
being published.
Right. So last night at the school board meeting, Amy Williams, our business manager, presented to the school board and shared what she will, at our next board meeting in October, share the details of the overall budget. So that is to come, and that information will be published now on our website, so people can see all of those details of what encompasses the fiscal responsibility of a school district, which it's interesting because we typically always start with a deficit, which is often very confusing to many people in the business world, because that's the last thing you're going to start with. If you don't have the money, you're probably not going to go forward. But that is how a school district operates because of how we receive our funding, our state and federal funding.
Yeah, because funding actually won't begin until December, the first of the year.
Correct.
But we are in a fine financial state that we have not had to borrow money. And there's a lot of reasons for that. That's careful number crunching from the past years. We can thank people for that. But we're in very good financial shape.
We are. When Amy presented that budget last night, we were about 18,000 in deficit, which is extremely low. Typical, we're between 200 to sometimes even 500,000. So it's a huge nod of the head to Amy, because she is very responsible, and she's really looking creative ways in falling back on resources and getting input, because she's been able to really manage our budget well. So that's been, a sigh of relief in many ways for us.
And one of the reasons it's published is that the October 19th school board meeting, October 19th will be the third Tuesday in October, 5:30, right here in the Plymouth Amphitheater, we will have the annual meeting precede the regular school board meeting. Every year you have an annual meeting, there'll be a vote on the budget
Correct.
as part of that meeting. And so the community has their chance to hear all the numbers and get it, and have a discussion about the numbers before a vote is taken.
Yes. So, I mean, that will happen, and I think one of the nice things is this whole last year, Amy's goal has been to educate our school board and the public on the budget. So hopefully, if people have been tuning in, they'll have a really good understanding of what those numbers make up and what they mean for us going forward.
Let's wrap things up by talking about our facilities. We have a facility update, some very happy things happening to outdoors. We've had our track is getting old, there are some breaks in it, and I'll let you explain it from there.
Right, so one of the processes that we always do is we meet every few months and we look at the facilities and the management of that, and we have ongoing lists that we prioritize our needs. Recently, we redid the roof at Riverview. So we really monitor closely, and the track at Riverview has been on that list for quite some time, or the track at the high school, excuse me. So knowing that there's a safety issue with that we have to be, cautious of, because it gets used a lot. And if we don't make those improvements, we won't be able to have track meets because of the safety factor. So looking at that, it was discussed last night that that is definitely the top of our list. And to fix that, it'll cost about $180,000. That's tearing out the track, and in the process, the football field will get tore out because we need to do some tiling to do the filtration of the water, because that's part of the reason that this problem has been caused. So with that, one of the things that's been explored is possibly adding a turf field. If we're going to do it, now's the time, because you wouldn't tear up a almost $200,000 project to put something else in down the road. So the school board gave the nod that we could go ahead and do an ask, because it would cost about $700,000 to put in a turf field. So in the near future, we will be going out to businesses. We'll probably work through the Education Foundation to help us bring in those funds and see if there's a possibility that we could put a turf field in. There are so many advantages to having a turf field. When it comes to play, you don't have to stop play. Now, when our fields get really wet, there often have to be cancellations. It opens it up to a plethora of sports. So not only can our football play, we can have our soccer teams play there. It opens it up to youth sports throughout the whole year when it comes to different soccer leagues and football leagues. So it really does open the door to a lot more opportunities for our kids and adults in Plymouth.
Right. But I should mention to everyone that the school board meetings are the third Tuesday of every month, right here in the Plymouth Amphitheater, starting at 5:30.
Correct.
And the next one is October 19th.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you.
We've been working very hard to keep the standards running and keep everything moving, and it was so nice that you're coming into your first PD day.
Yes, this Friday.
And you can tell the staff that we're off to a good start.
We are. We're here.
Yes.
And our goal is to stay here.
Right.
So that's what we're going to keep keep doing.
But thank you again for being on. When we come back, I have the mayor in the hot seat. We're going to be talking about everything from roads to the longest meeting that I have ever seen at the City Hall. We'll be right back. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. As promised, I've got the mayor in the hot seat. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure to be here and visit with our viewers and try to keep them up to speed on what's happening on or about the city.
I tell you, it's been a crazy month for you because you had to have the longest meeting that I can believe in history. And when everybody can talk only 3 minutes and you're still going well over in the 2-hour mark, there's a controversy going on. I see both sides of it, as you do, but maybe you can explain to our viewers what we're talking about.
Well, thank you, Mike. It is definitely a current event topic, and I've always allowed people to talk at public hearings and get their issues across. We don't put a stopwatch on them. We try to maintain order and have decor in there, and I think everybody was. You're right, it was my longest meeting in 16 years, so another record set. I guess the long and short is that the public meeting portion is now complete, and that was the 2-hour part, so that's behind us. The council then took up the issue, and there was a motion to deny, and then another alder asked for the floor and made a motion to table.
Right.
So now we get into parliamentary procedures, and the best answer, the shortest answer is that cutoff debate, that issue was then brought up, and tabling it was successful. So at that point, everything on Tuesday night was complete. And that moves the meeting or the issue to the very next council meeting, which will be on the 28th.
Right.
At that point, the process is they will have to, the clerk will read the item and we'll have a motion to take it off the table. And then at that point, the debate will start back up on the motion to deny. There's other maneuvering that can go on, and I'm trying to study my Robert's Rules of Order procedure book so I do it right. All in all, it comes down to the council having time, which is good, to go over some of the legal papers that were submitted, additional information that was brought forward. And at this point, the council will then review those items and debate them. It will take a supermajority to pass or deny the rezoning, and that's by state statute from the standpoint that it came from the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission, to override them, takes a 6 vote out of 8. If there's only 6 there, then it's 6 out of 6. So it still has, we have to have a quorum in order to take action. So the bottom line is that it's going to take 6 votes to do anything, and that means that a 5-3 still fails, because it has to be a majority.
Let's just take a moment and give a quick summary of what we're talking about here. You want to rezone a particular building.
The Turner Hall, which was there long before many of us were here, was grandfathered because of its existing non-conforming use. And that non-conforming use is good even to this day. The rezoning is for the use of the building, the facility, not the occupants of the facility. And so that B2, which is what all of downtown is B2, general business.
Right.
And that allows for the non-conforming use to come off of that property, which now it's grandfathered, and it makes it more appropriate for, not only for the tavern, but any other business that would want to go in there, a hardware store.
Yes.
Anything could go in there. So from that sense, it cleans up part of the zoning administration process. The difficulty comes in with the use of the building, having a upstairs rental
Right.
of more than one apartment and non-family members, I guess is the way to say that.
Right.
So that's where different rules and regulations, not only in our city ordinance, but state ordinance, state laws, and even federal laws come into play. So those are the things that we're going to talk about before we go into council meeting. We've already scheduled a closed session for the council members, so the city attorney can explain some of the technical things that are going to be at issue here. And of course, it's important that we abide by the American Disability Act, ADA, and everything else. So we want to get it right.
Right.
So this is something that we will take on under discussion very seriously. It could get once again tabled during the debate at any point in time. A alder can ask for the floor and make that statement once again, and it could get tabled again. So I don't want to say it'll be over on Tuesday, but I do want to comment that every council meeting has a public portion where citizens can come in, sign in, be recognized, and it's not a public debate anymore. Now you simply want to make a statement, and you're allowed to make that statement. So that is still available to anybody, whether it's this issue or any other issue in the city, that they can come forward and comment on. And we want to make that clear that the citizens can do that.
Well, are you sure you just don't want to break another record and have another very, very long meeting?
Well, that won't happen because we don't have the public hearing portion to go through again. And I won't cut people off as long as they're respectful. And the one thing about the public hearing, which is different from the public comment,
Right.
I always make the statement when I start the council meetings that this is where you do the talking and we do the listening. And that's exactly what it is. There's no interaction between the people doing the speaking and the council. It's just a matter of public record.
And so I would like our viewers to study up on this. It's probably one of the most controversial situations that you've had in your tenure.
It is. By all means, it's important, it's delicate, and there are sentimental issues on both sides.
Yep.
And being in the service, I can certainly attest to some of those situations, and it's a very passionate item to bring out, and I hope that everybody looks into it in the right context.
Right.
And that's where we'll see where it goes.
Well, let's move on to some good news. And I'm saying good news because some of the streets are much nicer now.
Oh,
We can now leave Riverview Middle School and not have to go in circles.
well, and that's a blessing, if there ever was one, because we were hoping to get that finished before the fair, and that didn't happen.
No.
It really became a bottleneck, and I think we at City Hall were more frustrated than some of the residents, because we had to keep trying to deal with the subcontractor, which was the problem in this case. We've dealt with the contractor many times, and they've always done a good job. But like many times, then you get subcontractors involved. And this one got, I believe, overextended. He had employee problems, which there's employee problems everywhere, unfortunately. And trying to keep people that are skilled in positions to do some of this work is very difficult. And it kind of got delayed, unfortunately.
Right.
And, but it was still a necessary project because we also cleaned up significant number of laterals that had lead base
Right,
in
right.
them.
I think it's important that we do that.
And we do that, so we had about 42 in that connection that were resolved. So that was very important that we maintain our annual lead abatement program that we had an agreement with the DNR, and we're ahead of that pace. But once again, we did double duty, so it only costs us up, to dig the road up once rather than twice.
Right.
So we saved money, but once again, it was called construction season in Plymouth. And so the good news is, you're right, we don't jar the fender off the car, and we have lead laterals removed, and now we can all take a deep breath over the winter, and our budget will probably have another street project next year,
It will.
unfortunately.
Yeah, and speaking of budget, though, it's budget time. You're already calculating, adding, and subtracting, and preparing for your budget year, which is January 1.
It is, and we have to have that completed and sent into the county prior to December 1st, so that all of our residents can get their tax bills
Right.
Merry Christmas on time.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's an unfortunate side of that, but I did request all departments to keep, if possible, a 1% raise. And of course, we all know fuel costs have gone up
Yep.
again. And like everything else that consumers use, we as city and utility employees also use some of those same products. The costs have risen, and to be honest, I'd like a zero budget. Realistically, it's probably going to come in at 1% over. They're just, it's so hard to keep costs in line. We are seeing for the last 3-4 months quite a spike in some of our products that we buy. We did buy ahead significantly in some areas, trying to anticipate some of that cost increase. It never fails. We don't have a way of buying 10,000 gallons of gas ahead of time.
No.
So we're in a predicament, and it's going to be very hard to keep it at zero this year. I don't know. We'll see how they come in.
Yeah, and because the roads are better in Plymouth, I guess I'll just mention that the roads getting into Plymouth still have a few issues, whether it's coming in from the north on 67 or whether it's coming in from Fond du Lac to us. We still have a lot of road work to do.
We do, and 67 is supposed to be finished before winter arrives, which, we're already into the first day of fall, so don't count that too much. But the 23 project, I was on it twice last week. It's really, really looking good. A lot of the now barrel maneuvering left, right, up and down is all over on the Fond du Lac County side of things. And that's still on track to be in like a year from now in 22 that they're hoping to complete the third sector, the west sector.
But the
in Fond du Lac.
Sheboygan County part of it is close to completion.
We're very close to it. We have a little bit of stuff on 67. We have some on 57 that'll be done very shortly. So we are really hoping that, and even some of the construction out by Masters, that they were putting a new water line in, that'll be finished very shortly, and we should be in good shape for the winter and spring. And knock on wood, if we have any water breaks and things, that'll certainly mess us up. But we're getting such a significant amount of our old sewer and water reworked that we're really hoping to be ahead of that
Okay.
game in the long run.
All right. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck as we look into, you're actually calculating the next fiscal year. I wish you the best of luck on adding the numbers right.
Thank you.
And I want to mention to everyone that we've already told you that the next city council meeting is September 28th. The city council meetings are the second and last Tuesday of every month, starting at
7 o'clock.
7 p.m. down at City Hall. Be part of what's happening in the city, find out how it affects you and how you can be part of it. Thank you again for being on.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure, Mike.
When we come back, we'll be talking the arts. I see Donna Hana's in the house, so we'll see if we can make all of that happen. Stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. I have Donna Hahn with me from the Arts Center. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike.
You have so many, we thought things were going to lighten up a little bit after you had everything from painting the murals to your concerts to
Jazz crawl.
jazz crawl, but you have so many things on the plate yet this
Yes.
fall. It's going to be such a busy time.
October is wild for us.
Yes, yes. Let's start out with some things that are happening in the earlier October. I know that October 2nd, you have an Evening of the Classics.
Yes, this is our annual Joseph Sartori concert series, sponsored by the Sartori Company. And it's always done in honor of the late Joe Sartori, whose piano we have at the Art Center, which is a beautiful Steinway grand piano.
It is.
And this time we have Rachel Stoike joining us on flute. She's going to be accompanied by Mary Fellens. And then we have Dan Ognevic, who's going to be playing violin and piano. And something a little new for us, we have a harpist, and her name is Isabella Sand. She's a senior in high school, and she plays the harp just beautifully.
And that's all happening on October 2nd.
Yes, and we have tickets for sale right now. They're $13 for adults, and students are $7, and children 5 and under are free.
Okay, and so mark your calendars now for October 2nd. That's just one night only.
That's one night, right?
It's got to
at
happen
7:30.
at October 2nd, so that's probably the first thing happening in October.
Right.
Is the Sartori Concert Series, and that's the Evening of the Classics.
Correct.
Now, coming up on the 15th, tell me about what's happening then.
Well, we have Paint the Towns in fall color, and this is our reception evening. Ahead of that, for about a week, we're going to have Midwest artists painting in the Plymouth, Glenbeulah, and Greenbush area, and a special paint out at Road America this year. So all of those paintings that will be created during that week's time will be on display in our gallery, and they'll be up for sale at a silent auction. So folks can come in and bid on the 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. And we're going to have live music and free appetizers and desserts.
Now, this activity is October 15th.
Correct, a Friday night.
However, we want more artists to
Yes.
be. I want to drive through Plymouth and see people sitting outside all over the city. We want some more artists to get involved.
Yes.
So be involved in this, be part of it. And so very quickly, we would like your name down and get everybody signed up down at the Arts Center.
Right, we are giving a discount at $45 instead of $50 for the entry fee. So for that, you get to enter like 3 or 4 paintings into the competition, and there is a prize involved in this particular show. So we're going to be giving about a total of $3,000 away in prize money. And something kind of cool that's going to happen for next year is that all the winners in this year's competition will be awarded a show in our gallery in April next year.
It is to your advantage if you have been on the fence, do I want to paint the fall colors in or around Plymouth?
Right.
Let's get off the fence and let's get some artists. And
Yeah.
it all culminates on October 15th, but we need you painting a week or so ahead of that.
Yes. October 7th is the actual start date. And artists can register that day. You know, you'll be paying the $50, but they can register every day, you know, up to the 14th, I believe. So
Be part of this, be part of the art world, because Plymouth, Wisconsin is so blessed to have an art
an
museum
abundance of
that
artists,
we have
yes.
so many great artists in this area, and this simply shines a better light on it.
Correct.
That's October 15th is the event. We want artists starting on the 7th to start
Right.
painting outside.
Yeah, and come and bid on your favorite pieces. There are going to be a lot of, you know, scenes from the rural areas, not just the city of Plymouth,
Right.
but into Glen Beulah and Greenbush. So there's a lot of beautiful scenery in our area, and then, of course, the Road America paintings as well.
Let's also then talk about that's paint downtown Plymouth is what we're talking about here.
Well, paint downtown Plymouth, Glen Beulah, Greenbush, Road
Okay.
America, so it's going to take in a big area.
So we are going wider than just Plymouth, Wisconsin.
Correct.
And so that also means that your artists can be from outside of Plymouth.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're encouraging artists from the Midwest, although, you know, we do get a lot of artists right from our local area.
Well, let's talk about the first show that we've had, that I cannot remember a show that was written by one of our local talents being
Right.
on your stage down at the Arts Center. This has got to be unique. It's the Ghost Elizabeth. And the dates they're looking at are October 29th and 30th and 31st, the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Yes.
And tell me about, this is a unique situation.
Just in time for Halloween. It's a comedy drama written by our own Carrie Lynn Kramer
Yeah.
here from Plymouth. And Carrie Lynn has written this quite a few years ago, and it was performed at the Arts Center, and actually Freddie Nordyke was in our first production.
Oh, goodness.
So now this is a remake. She's done a few changes to the script. And this year we have, I want to read them off because we have a great cast: Bob Deo, Christopher Fontaine, Bonnie Yeager, Nora Yeager, Sue Kaiser, Carrie Lynn herself, her children Kieran, Michelina, and Tatiana, and Tanya Landwehr and Rebecca Manet are going to be in the show. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And to go to a show where you know so many of the actors, that is really what makes it unique.
Yes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a great time the first time around, so we know it's going to be a great show.
It is October 29th, 30th, and 31st. You have 2 evening shows at 7:30, and then you have your Sunday matinee at 2:30.
Yes.
But remind everybody a little bit about what this Ghost and how it all plays out.
Well, a couple girls are driving along and they have car trouble.
Yeah.
It's the typical scene, and they stop in, and this lady takes them in, and things start to happen. So it gets kind of spooky, and
But there's still a comedy unto it, too.
Yes.
It makes a perfect Halloween game.
Right, yes.
And I use the word game because it's not bloody, it's not.
No,
No,
not at all.
It's fun for the whole family, is what it is.
It's fun for the family, and, you know, like you said before, having our local folks in it makes
yeah.
it even more fun.
And to think about the fact that the cost of this, tell us.
It is $10.
Yes, $10.
For members, and $12 if you're not a member, so
The reason
it's very
I
reasonable.
hesitate is the fact that go to a show in New York just once.
Right,
and you're over the $100 mark.
yes.
Here, for $10, you're going to be laughing and enjoying local talent doing a local show.
Right, and we invite people to, see the show, but then maybe it'll inspire them to become an actor on our stage in the future.
Yeah, so we've got so many things happening. It starts out on the 2nd of October, and then it continues to the 15th of October, and now at the very last days of October, you have your show on stage.
Yes, and in between time, we have our holiday membership call to artists.
That's right.
And this show is going to open in our gallery the night of the parade, the Christmas parade. So that'll be November 26th, I believe.
The Friday after Thanksgiving.
Correct. And so we'll have the show open that evening, but the big party for the holiday show is actually December 3rd. And so that'll be a nice Friday evening where you can bring the whole family. We're going to have free appetizers again and desserts. And it's just a festive celebration of all the artists members in Plymouth and, our whole greater area.
Yeah, a membership exhibit. So become a member, show us your work.
Right. So you get to enter one piece automatically. We don't jury it. Of course, the gallery committee does look at it for the appropriateness for our gallery. But, we do hang that piece of artwork for you, and we make a beautiful handout so that everyone knows which pieces, belong to the artists and the prices. And we encourage the artists to have it for sale, so it would make a wonderful Christmas gift for someone in your family, or, hang it in your office, or...
And it's not just oils.
No.
Many different types of art.
It could be wood, it could be leather, glass, pottery, and any medium.
And that membership exhibit is going to keep you busy for the rest of the year, isn't it?
Yes, it goes through January 14th, so
Yeah.
it'll get us through New Year's Eve and
Yep.
into the new year, and then we start all over again.
And we started up again. I wish you the best of luck with October.
Thank you.
It is going to be a very busy month for you in the Arts Center.
It is going to be busy, and we just want to thank all of our sponsors for this year. We're just getting back on track after COVID, and we're really grateful for everyone's help.
Yes, and thank you for keeping them moving.
Thank you.
Yes. When we come back, we're going to have Dan Knaus, the athletic director and football coach here, and I want to thank you for bringing the art to Plymouth.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
When we come back, we'll have Dan Knaus. Stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. We wrap up the show with Dan Knaus, athletic director, football coach. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
I know you had to leave practice a little bit early to come up here, but we're glad to give information to our community about how things are going.
Yeah, we're excited about a new school year, new activities, new athletics. So
Yeah, you've got a new sport to talk about.
yeah, we started a girls golf program this year. It had been something that had been thought about for a couple years, but we needed to kind of grow the middle school program first and get interest from young girls that wanted to play the sport. And we've seen that. We've had a golf program at the middle school for 3 years, and we've seen enough interest by the female athletes that we thought, hey, it's time to start a high school program, and we started this year. We have 6 girls on the team. It takes 5 to field a full team, so we have more than a full team, and they've competed in 6 events, and they have their 7th event coming up this Friday, which will kind of conclude their season. They're not in the WIA tournament for the first year. You have to start off for your first year as just kind of a club sport, and then next year, they will be included in the tournament series.
Oh, good, good. And because you've started the varsity golf, girls golf, now you have someone a coach that can actually go to the middle school and recruit a little bit too.
Yeah, definitely. To grow the program, they're going to have to retain kids who go out in middle school so that when they get to high school, because it's a numbers game. We're not a huge school, but to add a program, we have to have enough girls that show interest in it. So hopefully that can continue and we can grow it in the middle school, and that coach can reach out and help work with the middle school kids and keep it growing.
As we get in to talk about all the things happening and changing now that we've made it through some difficult months, talk about last night. Last night, there wasn't a place to park at the high school. They were parking down at McDonald's. Cross-country was happening, and the middle school had so many runners. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we had a huge invitational. High school-wise, there wasn't a bunch of teams, but the middle school, there was a million teams here, it seemed like. We were out at football practice, and those kids running around on the cross-country trail.
Yeah.
But it was awesome to see. Lots of people here.
It was beautiful.
Kids being active again. It was a big night and a big event. And then there was a youth football game going on at the same time on the
Yeah.
football field. So yeah, it was hard to park last night, but it was good to have a lot of activity here.
It feels so good, and when I saw what had to be well over 100 middle school runners, we're back. We're working our way back.
We're back for now. I cautiously am optimistic every time, but right now we're back. We're doing things as normal as we can. We have fans in the stands. We're unmasked. So, but we have to do it safely. We understand that, and we're watching our numbers, and we're keeping monitor of that.
And that's why last year, TV14, with the help of Plymouth School District, sent a lot of items out over YouTube Live, et cetera. We've cut back on that because now fans can go to a swim meet. Fans can go to volleyball games.
Yeah, I think some people didn't understand why there was live TV for a lot of our sporting events last year. It was really just because we were limiting fans, and we felt like we still wanted people to have the opportunity. You know, if it was 2 fans, usually mom and dad were the people who got to come, but grandma and grandpa, siblings, they want to watch. So that's why we gave the opportunity to go out live for most of our activities. But now that we're not limiting fans, there's not that need. It's not that we don't want to, but it's pretty costly, you know, on an athletic department and a small production company like TV14 to go out live that many times. So for right now, while we're not having limits on fans, there's only a select few things that go out live, and that's just because there's people to do that and run man cameras, et cetera.
And so we had a swim meet not too long ago, and all fans were allowed to come into the swim meet. A year ago, 0 fans. It has changed dramatically
Correct.
over the last year.
We hosted a sectional for the WIA with 12 teams here, and we had 0 fans. So we went out live so everybody could watch.
Yep.
Now we don't have a limit. We are hosting a sectional again, and at this time, we will allow fans. We'll collect admissions, and we'll run it as normal as possible until something changes or tells us we should do it different.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth mentioning, Dan, that we're halfway through the season. We're over halfway through football season, but we're halfway through what might be called the fall season, and we still feel pretty good about all of our sports.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few incidences, but they were all traced back to home or different events. None of them were spread within an activity, and there was only a select one on a couple of different activities. So it didn't warrant us shutting anything down or quarantining anybody. So we feel really good where we're at right now. We're knocking on wood, hoping that continues. But we are monitoring that at all times and making sure that we're doing things safely.
Yeah, so all the sports are happening right now with fans being able to pay admission and also come and watch. Grandpa and Grandma can now come into the building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we got a big football game coming
That's
this
right.
Friday night.
I should, before we go any further, congratulations, Dan. You're undefeated at this day, that you've won your first
5 games.
5 games, and there's only 9 games in a regular season, so you are going to have yet another winning record.
Well, we're focused on this week and this week alone, but we are excited to be 5-0 to start the year. Our kids are buying in, doing things well, and playing well. But this week is a big test. Port Washington is 4-1. Their only loss is in the non-conference. They're undefeated in conference as well. They're ranked 8th in the state, and we're ranked 5th, so it's 2 ranked teams playing each other, so it's going to be a great atmosphere, and we're excited to have fans there. So as many of you that can make it to the game, it's open, and you're welcome to come and support the Panthers.
The people watching this, the game will already be over. So make sure that whatever he tells you right now, make sure he lives up to it, okay, on Friday night.
We're going to give it our all.
There you
We're
go.
working hard. The kids are probably just wrapping up out there and learning the game plan and getting ready for it. But it's just a different feel this year than last year. Because last year it was like every day was, are we going to get to another day? It was always thinking that way. And we haven't felt that way this year. It's felt normal. Our kids, I think, the seniors that were juniors that lived it last year on the varsity have a way different perspective on things and attitude. So right now we were really excited. Kids just need athletics. They need activities.
And what's really neat is you've got an exciting bench. You have some new coaches, some very young guys that are back for Plymouth High School graduates that are now teaching in Plymouth and on the football field with you, and they are exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting to have some young blood on the sideline, and like you said, we hired 3 new teachers in the district. 2 of the 3 were former players of ours.
Yeah.
2 teaching science and 1 teaching physical education, and they brought a whole new attitude, enthusiasm, leadership qualities, all great things that are going to help our program for the next 20 years.
Yes, yes.
Long after I'm gone. Let's put it that way. But no, they're great additions, and I think the connection that the kids feel with them, we all work hard, we all coach for a long time, but you have the same staff for a long period of time, kind of gets a little bit stale. You're doing the same things. Not that you're not successful, but the kids are rejuvenated with some young blood,
Right.
and it's been fun. My youth is coming out in me again.
Oh, good. That's great. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck in the 4 games left, and I should mention to our viewing audience that we'll be in the playoffs. Plymouth football will again be in the playoffs. How many years in a row now?
I think this will be 19 years in a row.
You've been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you see, Plymouth is still right there among the best going around. And so it's very nice that you'll be in the playoffs. It's guaranteed you'll be in the playoffs at this point. I guarantee it.
You can
And
do
you
that.
can write that down. I guarantee you that you'll be in the playoffs again for the 19th
19th
time
year,
in
yeah.
a row.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Well, just one other thing, just since this will air after, but October 8th is homecoming. So those of you that are alumni or those of you that live in the community, come join the game on October 8th for homecoming.
Right, and we'll try to make homecoming as close to it was 2 or 3 years ago. We are looking at a parade at this time, and marching band at halftime, and so we're hoping that everything will get back to a bit of normal for homecoming.
We hope, and that's our plan.
That's
but
our plan.
We know how
Yeah, things change
things
any
in the
day.
last 16 months have kind of
Yeah.
altered our plans at times, but that's our goal.
I do want to thank you for being on, and I wish you the best of luck going down the stretch here. You've got 4 games to go in the conference, and then at least 1 playoff game, and we'll see how far we can go, okay?
Well, thanks for having me, Mike, and it's great to be here.
And I wish you the best of luck with all of the teams happening this fall, that everybody's doing very well, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Yes. Again, and best of luck to everybody out there. Let's keep it safe for everyone. Until we meet again, I'll be seeing you on the radio, Mike Briggs saying bye-bye.